Good evening, everyone. I'm Ranjana and I'm the Director Outreach for ISC. Welcome you all for the day two of India Impact Investing Week, Prabhav 2020. Thanks to all the charismatic speakers and all of you wonderful audience, we had a very successful day one. We had 400 plus people attending the conference and have had more than 50 LPGP meetings between yesterday and today. We had some really thought-provoking sessions yesterday, and some of the key takeaways for us are that Indian impact investing has evolved significantly over a period of time, and India has one of the most developed ecosystems for impact investing. There is a silver lining to the current pandemic, and technology is stepping up for development with newer innovations across health, agriculture, and education. Quoting Sandeep Faryas from Alivar Equity, this is an excellent time for entrepreneurs to step in and help move from vulnerability to resilience. In the HNI session yesterday, we were happy to hear that millennials and other domestic investors are focusing more on investing with a cause. Those of you who missed the sessions yesterday can go to the agenda day one and watch the recording of the missing sessions. We have an exciting lineup of 4 gripping and stimulating sessions today, starting with a keynote from Shri Shaji Krishnan, DMD NABARD. We go on to the second session, which is an exciting roundtable discussion around agriculture. The third session is probably the most important one for all of us at IIC, and in that session, we try to answer this crucial question: how can we engage the government and create a facilitative policy framework for the impact sector? And finally, we end with a very interesting session where we hear from global LPs from across the world in terms of their perspectives on emerging markets. Coming back to today, ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce our esteemed guest, Shri Shaji Krishnan from NABARD. Shri Shaji Krishnan joined NABARD as Deputy Managing Director in May 2020. He's a postgraduate in agriculture and holds PGDM in public policy from IIM Ahmedabad. Before joining NABARD, he worked in Canara Bank in various capacities for 26 years. As his last assignment, he was at the corporate office of Canara Bank in charge of strategy, planning, and business development. He had successfully handled the project of amalgamation of Syndicate Bank into Canara Bank. Shri Shaji Krishnan was earlier also the chairman of India's largest regional rural bank, Kerala Grameen Bank. It is such a pleasure to have you with us here today, sir. Over to you. Sir, you are on mute, please.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, and also thank you for inviting NABARD for this very informative session. I understand that yesterday this program is started, the Prabhav 2020. I feel that we are organizing this program at the right step and also at the right time. Already it is told that we are at India is in a sweet spot as far as impact investment is considered. Uh, I need not go into the details of what is in impact investments, but I'll be confining now to the impact investments in agri sector and also rural development sector. Although healthcare and other related sectors are also craving for such investments as the country marches towards a larger economy. Now, as we see that, no, at the time of crisis, people or rather investors go to gold for as a safe haven. Now, as we are now in the process of recovering from this pandemic, I feel that the agri sector, which is considered to be leading the recovery efforts in the country, impact investors should look at this sector very seriously because of the opportunities it is giving. And added to that, the recent reform measures initiated by the government. Three-pronged reform measures were there. These reform measures are very path-breaking in terms of freeing the selling of the produce by agriculturists and also enabling legislations in the contract farming and also the relaxations in the Essential Commodities Act. All these things should now prove as catalyst for our of India's development, India's movement towards a freer agriculture sector. So now it's up to the private sector now to step in for the betterment and also re-up whatever margins are available. I will not say that it is a risk, no risk premium you should re-up, because once you harvest that risk premium, then it will be pure investments. But here some margins will be available, but then at the same time, this such investments will be benefiting almost 60% of the India's population, which are still dependent on agriculture and also which are predominantly in the rural areas. If you consider this important sector of agriculture and also rural development, you can there is a NABARD and these sectors are going hand in hand. If you see NABARD straight from its existence from 1982, you can treat NABARD as the original impact investor in these sectors right from 1995. Even though we see that no impact investment per se started in the country during the early 2000s, NABARD has and started such investments right from early 90s as a part of Rural Infrastructure Development Fund for channelizing the infrastructure, the investments in infrastructure for the needy sectors, especially in the credit-starved districts of the country. So on that count, we can consider NABARD as a frontrunner in impact investments. So already around 3 trillion Indian rupees have been invested under the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund, which is channelized through NABARD. In this area, NABARD actually is now overseeing the projects, and also right from making these projects and handholding the government and also the agencies which are implementing, and also monitoring the implementation, so that no the areas in which these investments are there, they will be enabled, or rather they will be equipped to receive further investments for livelihood activities. That is what NABARD is doing under Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. uh, Now, if you see the history of impact investment in India, earlier investments were in microfinance sector. You all know that what happened in the microfinance sector uh, due to some developments in the South India of late. No, the microfinance sector was not favored sector for investments. But if you see the sector, there also NABARD was a front runner in terms of SHG movement, because the NABARD has conceptualized this collectivization of rural poor through self-help group movement. And and then once they are formed into groups, NABARD has provided grant. Of course, grant is a precursor to the impact investments. And then also so through smaller credit, it is not actually at market linked rates but at subsidized rates. NABARD has channelized credit to these groups. So this was a preparatory ground for the microfinance sector to flourish. So that count, in that count also, NABARD has led the way through mutual guarantee. Of course, through SHGs, which are considered to be the collectives of rural poor who are not having proper access to bank credit for their livelihood activities. What they used to do is that they come in groups so that banks will get the comfort of collective guarantee, and then finance those livelihood activities. Of late, no, when you see the count of SHGs formed, around 10 million SHGs have been formed, covering around 2 billion population. Now, right now, NABARD is now in the process of next stage of SHG movement in terms of technology intervention through its e-Shakti program. Already close to 40 billion Indian rupees have been invested to enable these SHGs to access credit in a faster and hassle-free manner. There is an opportunity for impact investors in this area. They can come and chip in with a lot of innovations on upon the e-Shakti platform which NABARD has developed. Now, right now, SHGs are now graduating into larger organizations like FPOs, which is essentially the collectives of farmer producer organizations. As consequent to the relaxations, or rather the legislative reforms which are happening in agriculture sector, where farmers are free to sell produce in the place they want at the time they want, and complete freedom is there. This is the right time for the farmer producer organizations to chip in. Now, NABARD has already formed around 4,000 farmer producer organizations, and seeing that many of the such organizations are not getting adequate credit, NABARD, through its subsidiaries, are now lending to these farmer producer organizations. So here, these farmer producer organizations are essentially companies or cooperative societies, and they are in need of capital. There is scope for impact investors to come in to provide some handholding activities and also investing in such companies, so that no these farmer producer organizations can leverage that capital for the benefit of the whole sector. Now, already, as I said earlier, around 700 farmer producer organizations have been formed, and now we will be spearheading the government of India's program of forming at least 10,000 new farmer producer organizations in the country. So here, huge scope is there for impact investors to intervene. And as you know, India is a complex country where government alone can't solve these whatever problems the rural population or the rural poor or the poor in general are facing. So we need to now marry the appetite of private investors with the policy initiatives from the government. So that way, we are now in a sweet spot as we move to the next phase of the recovery. Yeah, the COVID-induced pandemic is there, and then after that recovery, agriculture sector is expected to lead these recovery efforts. Already, green shoots are there. Sowing is good, and so the produce is expected to be good. And then, whatever surpluses we are generating in the rural people should now form the capital for MSMEs and also for food processing. The produce should flow to those sectors. So agriculture-led recovery will be there, and there a lot of investments are there needed. Already, Union Budget, 2 years back, has announced a social stock exchange, which is to be set up under SEBI for channelizing the investor wealth to all such enterprises. And NABARD is now closely working with the SEBI in setting up this social stock exchange. One more area where no the country has moved ahead is the digitization of land records. Almost 90% of the land records have been digitized, giving adequate transparency to for the land holdings. This gives us a lot of scope for innovations. To help the farmers to access credit. Here also some sort of investments or large scale investments are needed. State specific projects can be there. There also NABARD through its venture capital assistance, we are through alternate investment funds, supporting these AIFs. Already around 40 billion Indian rupees have been invested, close to no around 120 billion, because this seed money, which NABARD is insisting that at least twice of that should flow to the agri and rural sector. Because of that, around 120 billion investments have already been channelized with the help of the NABARD investments through such venture capital funds. Now, coming to the discussion points, I understand there is a roundtable on agriculture subsequently following this introductory remarks. I feel that given the regulatory reforms which you have seen, how this can be leveraged to channelize more investments to the needy sector. That I think the roundtable should consider that. And of course, the cost of capital for agriculture sector is still prohibitive. With all the digitization initiatives and such other things which are happening, how we can leverage that to reduce the cost of capital. That can be one area which the roundtable can consider. Already, NABARD is now thinking of having an agri stack, which is nothing but digitization of the agriculture and rural sector activities, like meeting, marrying the needs of the producers with that of the suppliers. So, how we can reduce the information asymmetry through technology, through the agri. We have the India stack. Similar to that, how we can develop an agri stack. That is what NABARD is the drawing board for that. Then the technology initiatives, of course, when many of the impacted investors are considering investing in technology initiatives, that has to be further scaled up. So that area also this roundtable can consider. And of course, the climate smart agriculture is one area which we need to give adequate attention. Climate smart, you all know that the irrigation facilities in India is less. Still, substantial crop area is under rainfed agriculture. So, how we can conserve natural resources through impact investments? That is one area we should look at. So, concluding my remarks, I will tell that no. India is aspiring to become a larger economy, but solely depending on agriculture, with substantial population depending on agriculture, it can't translate to dreams of becoming a larger economy. So we have to channelize the excess labor available in the agriculture sector to other productive sectors, so that there should be equitable development of the wealth in the country as it progresses. Otherwise, it will create some social imbalances which will be difficult to handle. So, how we can realize this dream to create such an impact, which should be a large scale impact through government alone. Government initiatives alone may not be sufficient, so it has to be supplemented by the initiatives from the impact investors, and also for profit investors that they also can consider this. So now, as I conclude, I'll tell that risk premium is always there, but then investors should not always look at risk premium, harvesting whatever margins are available, considering the need of the people and the social objectives. We should now look at impact investing to supplement the efforts of the government in a larger way as country marches ahead. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I feel that NABARD will be at the forefront in whatever regulatory or legislative interventions needed, whatever policy changes needed. On all these areas, we will be there for the impact investors, and we will be there to help them in whatever way we can. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for these insightful remarks. And no doubt, NABARD has been the original impact investor front runner in rural infrastructure development and agri. And in the coming, roundtable, we should certainly make a point of, seeing how cooperatives and farmer produce organizations, can also get the share of capital, and they also come up in the development of the country as a whole. So thank you very much, sir, for coming here today. And now we move on to our next session on sector roundtable on agriculture, and over to you, Shriya, for the same. Thank you.